the term balderdash,
Yes.
which is shocking for Mike on the north side. But yeah, no, I liked it. I liked having Saqib Qureshi on, and as I said, he has the courage that no politicians in this state have, which is to come on our show and let's hash it out. Hash it out. And a lot of leftist intellects and pundits are similarly cowardly. So, you know, we take whoever is willing to stand in the ring, a la Thunderdome. All right, switching gears, we're pleased to be rejoined. She was with us a couple of weeks ago by Sue Ellen Browder, who's a former writer for Cosmo, author of Subverted: How I Helped the Sexual Revolution Hijack the Women's Movement, and most recently, the author of Sex and the Catholic Feminist: New Choices for a New Generation. She has an amazing conversion story from working at Cosmo under the tutelage of Helen Gurley Brown, and then having a conversion to Catholicism and recognizing that the line of propaganda, and it was propaganda, and she detailed it for us, that the fiction that was presented as fact at Cosmo for the time that she was there, and I'm sure that extended well beyond her time there, in order to advance this leftist sexual revolution, free love agenda to American suburbia. And now she's got a fascinating piece that she's written about Harry Blackman, some research that she did into the Blackman papers. After this, maybe she can do some research into the Biden papers. Sue Ellen Browder, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's a delight to be here. Thank you.
So you went to the Library of Congress and you dug up Harry Blackman's papers. Harry Blackman, of course, the Supreme Court justice who authored the Roe v. Wade opinion, and you're now sort of putting the question and trying to get an answer to it. Well, who actually authored that opinion? It was Harry Blackman, but it was Harry Blackman influenced by others.
That exactly. Well, that's when I was writing Subverted. I found out. Well, I had been following Lawrence Lader, who was a co-founder of NARAL, and he wrote a book called Abortion. And he was very influential in getting the abortion laws overturned in this country. In fact, his book was the foundation that Roe v. Wade was based on. And I was trying to figure out, how did that book, which was full of error, full of propaganda, how did that book get into that opinion? Because it was quoted 7 times, and then the NARAL attorney, Cyril Chestnut Means, who was one of Larry Lader's co-conspirators, if you will, was quoted another 7 times. So you had NARAL's people vote in that opinion quoted 14 times. How did that happen? And that's why I went to the Library of Congress to try to find out.
And what did you?
And I found out some very interesting things.
Okay, like what?
Well, I found out that, for example, Harry Blackman was a good old Republican, father with 3 kids. He knew nothing about abortion, and in fact, he had to go out and research it. I didn't realize that Supreme Court justices went out and did their own research. I thought they listened to the arguments and decided, but he went out and did his own research on abortion at the Mayo Clinic. And while he was out there, his $15,000 a year, 28-year-old law clerk helped him craft that opinion. And they based that, and that law clerk appears to have he did base that opinion on this book that is chock full of errors.
And the law clerk, it was a very good writer, and where Blackman wasn't. He was a former managing editor of the Harvard Law Review, as
that's right.
Most of these clerks are Ivy League trained lawyers, and so the penumbras and emanations. This is the rhetorical work of the law clerk, or is this something that came to Harry Blackman?
I'm not sure. I think is another that was another Supreme Court justice who came up with that word. I think.
Yeah. Uh, and but because, as you say, Harry Blackmun was a good Republican. This is what's lost in history too, among many. Right, a Nixon nominee
Right.
approved 94 to nothing, 94 to nothing in
Right.
the Senate, and then he takes on the sexual revolution from the perspective of the revolutionaries. So how does a good boy, a United Methodist Church congregant, come to sign his name to this opinion, regardless of who did the draft?
That's right. Well, that was the question. Well, Harry Blackman had a lot of trouble with it, but he did sign off on it because he was convinced that this was women wanted to be emancipated, and that was one of Larry Lader's arguments that women had always wanted abortion to be free. Well, this was totally fabricated. Women had fought against abortion. The suffragists were against abortion. Alice Paul, who spearheaded the campaign that led to the passage of the 19th Amendment that gave women the right to vote, called abortion the ultimate in the exploitation of women. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, even Margaret Sanger. Now, that's a surprising thing because Margaret Sanger is the founder of Planned Parenthood. Even she called abortion murder. And it wasn't until after she died that Planned Parenthood was taken over by a man, Guttmacher,
Yeah,
a
Guttmacher.
doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when Planned Parenthood became an abortion provider.
I,
Margaret Sanger was against abortion.
but she was a eugenicist.
Yes, she was. I'm not defending Margaret
No, no, I know
Sanger.
you're not. I know you're not. But it is. No, it's an interesting point that you make because here's the history that all these p-hats running around today don't know. In addition
Right.
to that, of Harry Blackman, the same p-hats and others running around separation of church and state. I don't want to hear about your religiosity and how it influences your public policy choices, or certainly a Supreme Court, a justice or a federal nominee to the bench like Amy Coney Barrett. Oh, it sounds like your Catholicism lives loudly within you, declared
Right.
Di-Fi. Right. But Harry Blackman's faith lived loudly in him, too, that I mentioned. And you
Yeah.
point out that he was influenced, it seems, by a very liberal Protestant minister named Harry Emerson Fosdick,
Yeah.
whose writings influenced Blackman's opinion in Roe v. Wade. So it was that sort of leftist view of Christianity that won the day with Harry Blackman and his view on Roe v. Wade.
That's exactly right. Harry Emerson Fosdick, who a lot of people don't remember, was a key figure in the split in Protestantism in the 1920s between the liberals and the conservatives. Okay, he was there, and he was one of the liberals, and he denied Jesus' virgin birth. He denied Jesus' bodily resurrection. He denied the second coming. And he said, "They call me a heretic." Well, I'm a heretic if orthodoxy is the standard. He says.
Mm-hmm.
So he was very influential. But Harry Blackman, who wrote Roe v. Wade, was very impressed by Harry Fosdick, and even spent an evening, Christmas Eve, with him. And Fosdick had said, we're fighting so much on how did Harry Blackman decide that a baby in the womb is not a person? Well, Harry Fosdick had written books about saying that you become a real person. How do you become? He said you're not born a real person. You become a real person through action. The self-made man of action was the one who was a real person. So since the baby in the womb is not a self-made man of action, he's not a person.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah, and this is how you can get bioethicists like Peter Singer arguing that essentially life doesn't begin until you're able to work outside the home, which is about his position.
Well, yeah. There you go.
It's
Yeah.
remarkable. I love the close to your piece. Roe is merely a paper document constructed of words that were written and rewritten by uninformed men, and in the light of a new day can be written again. Well, let's hope that's true. A great piece. She is Sue Ellen Browder, former writer for Cosmo Magazine, author of Subverted, How I Helped the Sexual Revolution Hijack the Women's Movement, and more recently, Sex and the Catholic Feminist, New Choices for a New Generation. Sue Ellen Browder, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It was fantastic. Thank you.
Take care.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer.